What's up, fantasy managers? Welcome back to another episode of the First Pitch Podcast brought to you by PitcherList.com. My name is Jake Crumpler, and I'll be your host for this edition of the pod. You can follow me on Twitter at Jake Crumpler, and you can find all of my work at CrumplerBaseball.com. Let's dive into everything baseball related from Monday, July 21st. We'll start it off, as always, with the transactions, injuries, news, and notes from around the league, kicking things off with our transactions, as we were lucky enough to walk away from Monday with no significant IL placements. So starting with our transactions, we have third baseman Josh Young, who was recalled from the minors by the Rangers. Since being demoted a few weeks ago, Young has batted .205 with 2 homers and a 47 WRC plus at AAA, so not sure what constituted the call-up, but the Rangers were prescient in doing so as he homered in his return. Expect Young to be the Rangers' everyday third baseman moving forward. Justin Foscue and Alejandro Osuna were optioned to the minors in corresponding moves, which with that opens up the DH role in Texas for most of that team to cycle through for quasi days off. I don't think there's going to be a set designated hitter for the Rangers. Michael Hellman was also recalled from the minors. He's expected to be on the short side of a center field platoon with Evan Carter. And guess what? He also homered in his return. So the Rangers 2 for 2 on promoting guys who homered in their returns to the majors. Next, we have starting pitcher Michael McGreevy, who was recalled from the minors by the Cardinals to start in Colorado on Monday. He tossed 7 innings, allowing 7 hits and 2 earned runs, walking nobody while striking out just 1. He induced 5 whiffs with 16% CSW across 91 pitches, so a lot of luck on balls in play for McGreevy, which is pretty impressive to do in Colorado nonetheless. Next, we have catcher Francisco Alvarez, who was officially recalled from the minors by the Mets. He started versus a left-handed pitcher on Monday. I still expect him to split time with Luis Torrens, who is also a right-handed batter, so there's not going to be a strict platoon between these guys, though I still expect a somewhat 50-50 split between the two. Hayden Sanger was optioned to the minors in a corresponding move. And our last transaction involves starting pitcher Ben Brown, who was recalled from the minors by the Cubs to pitch in bulk relief versus the Royals. He tossed 4 innings and got smashed, 7 hits, 7 runs, 6 earned, no walks, 4 Ks. He induced 6 whiffs with 32% CSW across 63 pitches, so not a great return to the majors for Ben Brown. In terms of news, starting pitcher Stephen Kolek is expected to be recalled from the minors to start today in Miami for the Padres. Next, and maybe the most notable news of the day, starting pitcher Rich Hill. Yes, that Rich Hill, the 45-year-old, is expected to have his contract selected today to make his season debut on the north side of Chicago. At AAA, he hasn't been that great, but hey, it's Rich Hill. He can make it work at any level. At AAA, 5.36 ERA, 25% strikeout rate, and 9 starts. Still got the whiff, heavy breaking pitches, but that fastball is going to be crawling up to the plate. I'd love to see Rich Hill find some success for the Royals. Next, we have starting pitcher Davis Martin, who's been out with a forearm strain, but he's expected to be activated from the 15-day IL today to start in Tampa Bay. Next, outfielder Denzel Clark is expected to be placed on the 10-day IL with a grade 2 adductor strain. Not great. He's probably going to be out for at least a few weeks. I'd expect JJ Bleday to be recalled from the minors to replace him and play center field for the A's. And lastly, starting pitcher Troy Melton is expected to be promoted for his MLB debut tomorrow in Pittsburgh. He's the Tigers' number 10 prospect and has been really great this year between AA and AAA with a 2.99 ERA, a 1.23 whip, and a 32% strikeout rate. So definitely some great strikeout stuff. He's a big right-hander, has a pretty good fastball. So I'm excited to see what he does in his debut. Now we can take a look at our notable performances from Monday, a day in which we had a full slate of 15 games. We'll start it off with our hitters, leading off with first baseman Wilson Contreras, who helped the Cardinals to win in Colorado, going 3 for 5 with 2 runs, a double, a home run, and 2 runs batted in. It was his 13th homer of the year, and it traveled 443 feet at 110 miles per hour. And I assumed Contreras would improve at the plate without having to worry about being a catcher. This is his first and only year being solely a first baseman, but that hasn't really been the case, as his 116 WRC plus on the season is his worst since 2021. However, Contreras has still been solid, and there's plenty of proof in his underlying metrics that he's got another gear in him for the rest of the season. Contreras is sporting a career-high 14% barrel rate, suggesting that Monday was just the start of a power surge, and he's also got the second highest expected WOBA of his career, despite the second lowest WOBA of his career, which suggests that he's been very unlucky this year, pointing to a big second half for Willson Contreras. And on top of that, icing on the cake, he's making more contact than ever in his career, pointing at improved batting average moving forward, or maybe his strikeout rate improving, which could lead to a better batting average as well. I think it's a great time to buy low on Willson Contreras. Next, we have first baseman Josh Bell, who helped the Nationals to win against the Reds, going 2 for 5 with 2 runs, a double, a home run, and an RBI. He also had a walk for good measure. He's up to 12 homers on the year now. This one traveled 403 feet at 108 miles per hour. And Bell struggled mightily through the season's first month as he batted just 137 with a 42 WRC plus, suppressing his season-long numbers, just a 695 OPS on the season. And while his June wasn't that great either, he's been much better since that horrid April, batting 264 with a 118 WRC plus over the past 2.5 months. Additionally, Bell's been notably hitting the ball harder and in the air more often, which is something that's always plagued him throughout his career. His fly ball rate in 2025 is the highest of his career since his breakout 2019 campaign. If you are familiar with Josh Bell, you'll know how incredible that 2019 campaign was. I'm not saying that he's going to reach those heights again, but it's nice to see him hitting the ball in the air again. The same is the case with Bell's 10.5% barrel rate, being the second highest of his career since that incredible 2019 campaign. I think Bell is a great option in deeper leagues, and he could become standard league relevant if he's dealt to a contender at the deadline. Lastly, we've got third baseman Matt Shaw, who did all he could, but the Cubs lost to the Royals. He went 2 for 4 with a run, a home run, and 3 runs batted in. It was his 4th homer of the year, and it traveled 385 feet at 103 miles per hour. And notably, Shaw struggled to open his career, batting 172 with a 62 WRC plus before being demoted in mid-April. He's been only slightly better since his mid-May return, batting 224 with a 72 WRC plus. His plate discipline has been notably improved in his second stint, which points to the fact that he's getting more comfortable with big league pitching, but ultimately it's probably time to cut bait on Shaw in all but NL only leagues. He rarely hits the ball hard and doesn't pull the ball enough to maximize his limited power. It's a very empty steal play as Shaw has a 609 OPS to pair with his 12 steals. But if you'd like a breakdown of other notable hitting performances from Monday, check out the Daily Batters Box article over on pitcherlist.com. Now we'll head to the mound and check out some notable starting pitching performances, opening with Brandon Woodruff, who helped the Brewers to win in Seattle, tossing 6 shutout innings, allowing just 2 hits and no walks while punching out 5. He induced 9 whiffs with 34% CSW across 62 pitches, and Woodruff has gotten off to a great start after his extended absence from the majors over the past couple of years. His 1.65 ERA and 0.55 whip through 3 starts have been huge for a Brewers club that now has the best record in baseball. Woodruff was incredibly efficient on Monday as he went fastball heavy, returning 11 outs on 12 balls in play against his sinker and 4-seamer. The latter, the 4-seamer, cooked with 6 whiffs and 43% CSW, while his changeup gave him a different look against lefties, returning a trio of whiffs and 54% CSW despite poor placement. Woodruff is still figuring out his command, but the stuff is generally still there, and he avoids the heart of the plate enough to get away with mistakes, and will continue to start him, especially with the Marlins up next. Next, we've got Kevin Gausman, who helped the Blue Jays to win against the Yankees, tossing 7 innings, allowing 4 hits and 1 run while walking 2 and punching out 8. He induced 12 whiffs with 35% CSW across 86 pitches, and he led baseball with that 35% CSW on Monday, earning him the King Cole. There have been times recently when it felt like Gausman was washed, but he's done enough recently to instill hope that he hasn't completely lost the feel for his splitter, the pitch that has carried him throughout his career. On Monday, it was another example of his 4-seamer taken over as he turned to it over 73% of the time, taking advantage of a passive Yankees lineup by putting it in the zone 2/3 of the time, leading to a whopping 18 called strikes and 6 whiffs for 38% CSW. When the Yankees did make contact against Gausman's fastball, it was either a foul ball or an out in play. His splitter did the rest with great execution below the zone, producing 5 whiffs and 28% CSW. And while he had success here, I'd love to see Gausman become less fastball reliant and probably incorporate his slider a little bit more. But we'll take this all day and continue to start him, even with the Tigers in Detroit up next. Lastly, we've got Walker Buehler, who did all he could, but the Red Sox lost in Philadelphia. He tossed 7 innings, allowing 6 hits and 1 run while walking 1 and striking out 4. He induced 7 whiffs with 25% CSW across 89 pitches. And Buehler's falloff has been steep from a rising ace as recently as 2021 to being unable to scrape together a 20% strikeout rate while producing obscene ratios, 5.72 ERA, 1.52 whip on the season for Buehler. He is far away from what he was prior to his Tommy John surgery, but that doesn't mean he can't have a good night every once in a while. He is a big leaguer after all, and Buehler was feeling his slider on Monday, making it his most used pitch despite inducing 0 whiffs with it, as he was able to go 7 out of 9 outs on balls in play while returning 70% strikes with the slider. He found his whiffs though with his curveball and cutter, as the hook led his arsenal with a trio of swings and misses, and his cutter returned a strike on all 11 offerings. 4-seamers and sinkers kept him in at bats, but there really feels like a lack of a plan for Buehler, as he sort of just throws everything he's got around the zone in the hopes of returning a strike or an out. And as long as he pitches without a clear game plan, he'll continue to struggle to return whiffs, leading to poor outings due to his reliance on balls in play without overpowering stuff. And I probably wouldn't risk it with Buehler, with the Twins in Minnesota on the horizon. But if you'd like a breakdown of every single start from Monday, give the Plus Pitch podcast a listen and check out Nick's daily SP roundup over on pitcherlist.com. Now we'll head to the bullpen and check out the relievers that got saves and the closers that pitched outside of save situations or blew their saves. Starting with the former, David Bednar recorded his 14th save with a scoreless ninth. Robert Suarez extended his MLB leading saves total to 29 with a scoreless ninth. Jeff Hoffman struck out the side in order for his 24th save. Edwin Diaz also struck out the side in order for his 20th save. Josh Hader tied for the American League lead with his 26th save following his hitless ninth. And lastly, Kirby Yates got the final 2 outs of the ninth to record his 3rd save. That was after Tanner Scott worked into trouble, allowing a run on 2 walks, but he did record his 8th hold. Scott, though, did feel a sting in his forearm and was removed from the game and is likely headed to the IL. In terms of closers to pitch outside of save situations or below their saves, Kyle Finnegan pitched the ninth with a 4-run lead and worked around 2 runs to secure the win. Orion Kirkring pitched a scoreless 8th in a tie game, and Matt Strahm pitched a hitless ninth with the score still tied. The Phillies would win that one in 10. Aroldis Chapman pitched in that one as well. He threw a scoreless 8th. Camilo Doval pitched a hitless 8th, down by 5. He hadn't pitched since last Sunday, so this was a maintenance outing. And lastly, Mason Miller recorded the final out of the 8th inning with the A's trailing by 5. He also hadn't pitched since last Sunday, so this was a maintenance outing. But if you'd like more information on relief pitchers, check out Rick Graham's weekly articles over on pitcherlist.com. And before we look forward to today's games, we're going to take a quick break. Now look forward to Tuesday, July 22nd, a day in which we'll have a full slate of 15 games. My matchup of the day is similar to the one yesterday, as Logan Gilbert got pushed. And this is honestly an even better matchup, as Logan Gilbert will square off against Jacob Mizorowski, as we've got 2 extension kings, guys that are going to produce a ton of extension, get really close to the plate, and they're both exciting to watch. Gilbert has been so solid the past few years, and Mizorowski is probably one of the most exciting pitchers in baseball, definitely the most exciting rookie pitcher in baseball, as he earned that notable all-star selection this year. In terms of probable starters, we've got 7 guys in the auto starts tier, including both Gilbert and Mizorowski. We've also got Jacob deGrom versus the A's, Yoshinobu Yamamoto versus the Twins, and Framber Valdez in Arizona. Our probably starts tier has 4 guys, and our questionable starts tier has 6, and that's where we'll find our streamer of the day in Joey Cantillo versus the Orioles. The Orioles have not been great this year. Cantillo is just getting back into the rotation, but he is also somebody with great extension, nearing 7.5 feet of extension on his heater, which is pretty impressive. He doesn't throw hard, but that extension makes up for the lack of velocity. He also pairs it with a decent changeup, so we could find some success with Joey Cantillo versus the Orioles. I'd also keep an eye out for Cam Schlitter in Toronto. He is also in the questionable starts tier, and it's questionable for a reason. The Blue Jays are not a scary lineup, but they are one that could do damage against a rookie pitcher like Schlitter, who was dealing with forearm pain after displaying a 100-mile-per-hour heater in his MLB debut. So it's worth questioning how long the leash will be for Schlitter, but the stuff is undeniable. If he brings what he got in his debut, he's going to probably do pretty fine against the Blue Jays. In terms of hitter suggestions, I'd be looking at Cardinals and Rockies hitters in Coors once again. It's always the best park to stream in. And now we'll close things out with our relievers to watch. Jeff Hoffman has pitched in 3 of the past 4 days, but so has Yariel Rodriguez. He's actually pitched back-to-back in 3 of the past 4. And Brendan Little has also pitched 3 of the past 4. So maybe we see Braden Fisher or probably more likely Chad Green get a save opportunity for the Blue Jays, but we could probably see Hoffman go for the 4th day in the past 5 days. Edwin Diaz has pitched in back-to-back games, which likely means Reed Garrett or Ryan Stanek gets a shot at a save on Tuesday. Kyle Finnegan has pitched in 3 of the past 4 days, but so has Jose Ferrer. So that probably means Kyle Finnegan gets another shot on Tuesday. And lastly, David Bednar has pitched on back-to-back days, but so has Dennis Santana. So maybe we see somebody like Isaac Mattson or Caleb Ferguson get the 9th, depending on matchups. But that'll do it for today's episode of the First Pitch Podcast. Make sure to head on over to pitcherlist.com to check out all of the great articles and features we have on the site. Sign up for PL Plus or PL Pro to gain access to the Discord and to support the Pitcher List staff. You can follow me on Twitter at Jake Crumpler. Tune in live on YouTube tomorrow and every day for a new installment of the podcast. And make sure to enjoy the day as we are blessed with another day of baseball.